Well, good morning. Good morning. Hello, everybody. I have just enough voice to do a little bit of talking today because I've been busy coughing all weekend. I am Manila Chan. That over there is Ted Rall. You're tuned into the Ted Manila Information Show, also known as TMI for short, where we bring you way too much information. Anything from news, politics, lifestyle, culture, fad diets. Today, we're talking about Thanksgiving, what the kids aren't doing, like ditching their parents this year for Thanksgiving, probably. I don't know. Or no, not well, Ted will explain later what he's doing. And also explain to everyone, Ted, why you're all banged up. So
Yep.
anything and everything goes on this show.
Yep.
So if you're looking for a straight lace button down show, this is not it. It is not safe for work. F-bombs do fly. It is all the stuff that you already know that you want to hear about, and then some stuff you didn't know that you needed to know. So we'll talk about it and have a few laughs along the way. God. We are
God.
live.
Look at us.
Oh God.
We're so
My
awesome.
God, it's been a rough weekend for the
has.
TMI show. We are live Monday through Friday.
The entire team, even our producer.
Yeah, like
weekend.
The one of his kids like barely missed being blown up in a bus. True story. Crazy, just weird. I don't know.
We're lucky to have even survived, I think, considering everything.
Oh my God. So we're still here. We're still here, Ted. We're live at least today, Monday and Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. The rest of the week, we're taking off for Thanksgiving. Ted is traveling. I'm going to try to get my full voice back and not be sick. Because I know you, like, if you guys heard what I sounded like yesterday when I sent a voice memo to Ted and the producer, you guys would have said you would rather hear Robert F. Kennedy Jr. talk for
That's
I think that's pretty fair. I don't know if Ted muted himself just now.
I did.
That would happen? No,
he did. I'm back though.
It was pretty rough, my voice. I was like, I don't know if I could do this tomorrow. But anyway, we don't have a guest today. We swapped days that we were doing things because our guest was going to be on today, but he's going to be on tomorrow, which is ironic, Ted, because we're going to be talking about Turkey Day.
I just realized
the professor is a professor in Turkey.
True.
But
I don't even know. Someone should look this up and post it in the Rumble chat. Why is a turkey called a turkey? Like, what did the name come from?
It's a new.
I know it's a New World bird. So it was discovered. Well, probably discovered obviously by the Native Americans, but when Westerners named it, when English colonists called it the turkey, why'd they call it the turkey?
I hadn't really thought about that. I don't know. But I did used to think it was funny that we ate turkey and then there's a country called Turkey. And I was a kid. I was a little kid. But anyway. Yeah. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to kind of keep it light and we got to go early because, I don't know how long I'm going to have this much voice. And Ted has to go to the hospital and he's going to explain.
Yeah.
He's going to explain. So explain, Ted. Tell us.
All right. So, I fought the sink and the sink won. Middle of the night, 2 nights ago, Saturday night, late night, I get up to pee. Now, the thing is, the day before, I'd been working all day long on my next book, which is called What's Left. It's called Never Mind the Democrats, Here's What's Left. And it's pretty self-explanatory, trying to lay out like a political program for what the left should be pushing for now that Democrats have been discredited by this lost election. So the book's doing great. In terms of the way me liking it, I don't know if anyone will buy it. And anyway, I spent 12 hours working on the book all day long. Didn't eat anything all day. I was just in a work frenzy. And then it got to be like nighttime and I was like, I'm not really hungry. So I'm trying to lose a little weight anyway. And part of my rule is if you're not hungry, don't eat. So I had some cough syrup because like Manila, I've been fighting fall allergies and it's like, so had some cough syrup, glass of wine, empty stomach, working all day. And I get up to pee and suddenly it just came over me. I went down like a ton of bricks in the bathroom and banged myself up over God knows what. Mostly.
But I mean, like, was it?
I swooned.
Were you just tired, Were you
No, it was like 3 in the
sleepy?
morning. I was just like, it was weird. It was like, I went to, I was woozy, and I had that sort of surreal feeling of not having like a sense of my feet, holding myself down
Weird.
on the floor. So I passed out,
Were
and
you
I just went down. I mean, it was just sort of like suddenly there was no one holding me up. And
weird?
so I went to urgent care. Obviously, here I am. I mean, I'm not going to show you the inside of my lip, but let
Oh,
me just tell
it's
you,
pretty gross.
it's ugly. Yeah, Manila has seen it.
There's a hole in there.
There's a hole from like the teeth punching through,
Oh,
my upper teeth punching through. And anyway, I broke my wrist in, yes, it's the right one, in two places. So, in keeping with my desire to put politics into everything, I get a call from the orthopedist today that they had made an appointment with, and they're like, "We don't take your insurance, so if you come in, it's got to be either out of pocket or you can try to find someone else." I'm like, I have a fucking broken wrist. It hurts like a bitch. I don't want to fucking get on the phone and call all over the place because I know my insurance sucks, and say, and like, do you take my insurance? Yes, make an appointment. Then an hour later, no, we don't. And that's the routine. That's what they always do with my shitty
oh
Obamacare
God.
insurance. So, which expires November
Oh,
30th anyway. So I'm like,
oh
I'm going to have a
wow.
better plan next year. So it's like, there's more available starting in December 1st. So anyway, I just decided, fuck it, I'll just pay out of pocket. I mean, I got to get a cast. It's going to be like, they said $200 to $700. I'm like, fuck it, no choice, got to do it. So, I mean, I'm a cartoonist, and it's so funny. I called Scott Stantis, my best friend and friend of the
Yep.
show, a cartoonist also, and he's like, I'm like, so, what do I do? They say I'm not going to be able to draw. He's like, laughed. He goes, "You're going to draw." He goes, "Just like I did when I had a dislocated shoulder and shoulder surgery.
Oh my
You're
God.
just going to draw. You're just going to do it because it's like breathing." And he's right. He's totally right. So I'm gonna like ramp down my schedule. I'm gonna have my syndicate send
Yeah.
out some classic Rawls. So instead of
Oh boy.
3 originals a week, no one's gonna know the difference. Some of the older ones are better than the new ones, So I'll send out.
Yeah, they had a healthy wrist drawing them.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. So I have to. So my cartoons for whowhatwhy.org, those have to be original. So I'll do those. So if you notice that they're like not that good, it'll be because of that.
Oh God.
You can fuck around in Photoshop. Reminds me of, there was this cartoonist named Callahan. He was very severely disabled, and he
Oh.
was a very famous, very successful cartoonist. And he could barely draw, but it didn't matter because his shit was so funny. So it's like, it's not
What?
about the art. Cartooning's like, trust me, I used to sign cartoonists. I was a talent scout for a major syndicate. Anyone can draw. It's like, it's about the ideas. I mean, drawing is like a monkey can do it. AI can do it. It's about having good writing is like 95% of what makes a
Well,
good
if you
cartoon.
say so. I don't
I
know.
do say
I
so.
can't draw. I can draw stickmen. That's about it.
Well, hey, there's a comic strip called XKCD, very successful. It makes a lot of money for the artist, and it's a stickman cartoon. So, it
Oh my
confirms my
God.
point. Shall we do headlines?
Wow. Yes. Okay, so that's what's wrong. You guys knew my stuff was brewing since last week, and then it hit me real bad this weekend. And then Ted got hit real bad with the sink.
Yeah.
So, and Ted is still traveling later this week.
Well, if they let me, yeah, tomorrow. If they let me, we'll see what they say.
Let you.
They better let me. I mean, I'm meeting my son in New Orleans. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. God.
It's New Orleans. I mean, I'll have the alcohol will be my pain
Yes.
reliever. I'll be like, give me some of those BVI painkillers, 3 margaritas. Although, wait, that's sort of how I got into this in the first place. So,
Oh boy. All right.
Let's move on here.
Let's hit the jaws and switch gears and get into headlines.
All right. All right. Off to the races here. President-elect Donald Trump nominated his former White House aide Brooke Rollins for Secretary of Agriculture. That happened on Saturday. The announcement, part of a rapid pace of appointments, closes out Trump's list of 15 cabinet advisors requiring Senate confirmation. Among the final nominations announced over the weekend were hedge fund manager Scott Bessent an advocate of tax cuts and deficit reform, to lead the Treasury Department. That's a major, major appointment. Trump also named pro-union Representative Lori Chavez de Remer from Ohio's 5th District as his pick for labor secretary. And, that labor secretary position's always been like the token leftist type spot in the cabinet. That used to be Robert Reich's spot in the Clinton cabinet.
Oh, yes.
And former Texas politician and NFL star Scott Turner to lead HUD, otherwise known as the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or if you're old enough to remember, a really cool movie with Robert Redford. Trump also rounded out key health positions, selecting former Florida Congressman Dr. Dave Weldon to lead the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Johns Hopkins professor Dr. Marty Makary to lead the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, and Fox News contributor Dr. Jeanette Neshawat as Surgeon General.
Really? Her? I missed that one.
The Surgeon General position is also very kind of like weird because it's like it's like they're like literally a member of the military, right? They wear a military uniform.
Yeah, it's very weird.
I don't know why.
Like, I remember C. Everett Koop. Is that his name?
Yeah, that's right.
In like this old school, it looked like a Civil War uniform.
Yeah, it did. Like sort of like the Marines or.
Yeah, I don't know what.
The Marines have like the best color uniforms, right? Like that beautiful
very striking
royal blue. Like that's
right.
Really
they have
nice color.
They have pretty dress blues. And I remember C. Everett Koop as a youngster, I felt like he was the Surgeon General for a long time, and that's what a Surgeon General is supposed to look like. Was like big burly bearded guy and just
chops.
Yeah, like I don't know, like I just feel like that's what they're supposed to look like. So having Dr. what is her name? Jeanette Neshawat.
Yeah, Neshawat.
Dr. Jeanette. I'll see if I can find it. Have you ever seen her? I think if it's the right one that I'm thinking of. I feel like Trump is picking some really pretty ladies for jobs because he hates women.
What a shocker. Well, whatever Trump is, gay is not one of them.
Yes, it is the woman I'm thinking of. Okay,
her?
Hold on. Let me throw this up there
Brooke
so
Rollins.
you can see. Yeah, that's
right.
Brooke Rollins is also a pretty lady. All right. You see that up there? That is Dr. Neshawat.
But why it's the
She's
military?
a real doctor. There she is. She's a pretty lady.
Yeah, what kind of doctor is she? Do we know?
I don't know. I think trauma or something like that. She's been on
All right,
Fox.
so the Surgeon General is the operational head of something called the U.S. Public Health Service Commissioned Corps, the PHS. It's CC, founded back in 1798, and is thus the leading spokesperson for matters of public health in the U.S. They're known as the Office of the Surgeon General. They're part of the Office for the Assistant Secretary for Health. So the Surgeon General. So I'm just like, here it is. Okay. Oh, I'm really good at this shit. Look at me. The Marine uniform. I was right.
Yeah.
In 1798, Congress established the Marine Hospital Fund, a network of hospitals that cared for sick and disabled seamen. The Marine Hospital Fund was reorganized along military lines in 1870 and became the Marine Hospital Service, the predecessor to today's U.S. Public Health Service. The service became a separate bureau of the Treasury Department. What? With its own staff, blah, 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 and later Surgeon General. Then, after 141 years under Treasury, it came under the Federal Security Agency in 1939. Then it moved over to the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare in 1953, which, of course, morphed into HHS, the Department of Health and Human Services. I remember the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. Prior to 1970, the Surgeon General used to come out of the career uniformed officers. Today, usually selected from the civilian community, and it usually aligns more with the president's political party. So that's super interesting.
Huh, yeah, it is. But you know what else I'm noticing? Besides picking a lot of pretty females for his cabinet, which is kind of reminiscent of Libya's Muammar Gaddafi having like the all-female guard.
He had kung fu fighting ladies.
That's fucking awesome. But not only is it a whole bunch of pretty ladies he's picking, I feel like he's picking specifically from the Fox lineup.
Oh, yeah. No,
It's
there's
through
a
the
lot of
Fox
job
Rolodex.
openings at Fox due to Trump's appointments.
What the heck? Like, this is just really
Well, this is
all
where Democrats say
bizarre.
this about Trump, and they're not wrong. They say that he's like completely, he watches Fox all day long. So he's like, me choose Fox person for this. Me no Fox person.
Whoa.
Me like Fox. I think that's kind of like what it is.
Me like Dr. Jeanette lady.
Dr. Jeanette.
Dr.
Like,
Jeanette.
she is a lady. We choose her.
She pretty.
She's
She
good
pretty.
doctor.
She doctor.
I'd be happy to see her come in to examine me.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening. Like, I mean, that's her. She's right there
I
in the
don't
black
want
clouds.
like a hot lady to examine me at all. If it's going to be a lady, I want it to be like an ugly lesbian, like Janet Reno. And I'd rather have it be a dude. Really, I don't want like they're seeing me like when I look like this. Like today, when I go to the orthopedist, I don't want to like have some like pretty lady look at me and be like, "Holy shit, look at that ugly dude."
I gotta tell you something. So my husband and I joke about this, and ironically, one of my neighbors, she had gone through breast cancer too, and she went to the same doctor, and so we joke with the neighbors as well, is that my breast surgeon from the breast cancer doctor, he happened to be like a mid-50 something, like tall, hot silver fox.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like so uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's not good, right? You'd rather he be like an ugly putz.
Yeah, I was like, oh no. You're going to be the doctor I have to flash my boobs to? Like,
precisely. Yeah, no, it's not good. It's
like,
not good.
no, I don't know.
No. I once, oh my God, my podiatrist was really hot. And, but actually she hit on me, so that was kind of flattering. Yeah.
Well, that's nice. Well,
anyway,
I guess
let's move on.
Dr. Jeanette won't have to do that. I don't think, right? No.
No, probably not. All right. No. NATO and Ukraine will hold emergency talks on tomorrow after Russia attacked a military facility near the Ukrainian city of Dnipro with a hypersonic missile last week. The attack came in retaliation for Ukraine striking Russia earlier in the week with US-made ATACMS after Joe Biden greenlit the use of those weapons. Of course, we talked about that here on the show. If you missed it, you can go back and look at it. Russian President Vladimir Putin claims Moscow's newly developed Oreshnik missile is unstoppable by Western defense systems, goes 10 times the speed of sound, and that even with conventional warheads, the massive use of the weapon would be comparable in effect to the use of nuclear weapons. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky described the use of the Oreshnik as a clear and severe escalation after nearly 3 years of war, but it also represents a new threat to continental Europe. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk expressed concern. The war in the East is entering a decisive phase, and we feel that the unknown is approaching, he said. I wouldn't say there's anything unknown about it at all. While Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban, a longstanding pal of Vladimir Putin, said Russia's threat of additional strikes should be taken seriously and warned there will be consequences. We'll be watching how NATO leaders balance bolstering Ukraine's defensives with increasing its offensive capability, given how Putin reacted to long-range strikes. Important words to live by. Don't fuck with Putin. Those 4 words will cause you to live longer.
I agree. I don't know when the switch happened, Ted, that everybody, I mean, all US presidents all the way up to Barack Obama, I wouldn't say they were gushing, over President Putin, like Bush Jr. was, but generally speaking, they had very respectful and positive things to say in the way of, that he is very deliberate and thoughtful, and he is the adult in the room, and you can rely on him to keep his word. And then all of a sudden, I don't know where and when it happened, but it was like, boom, overnight, he's suddenly a maniacal, crazy person, Hitler, Russian Hitler. Like, I don't know when or how that all happened. Like, it was the memo got put out, and then he was dying of like 50 different cancers. I think he had breast cancer like me too. We might have had the same doctor.
Wow.
Just everything was wrong with it. It just suddenly, it all just happened one day. And then suddenly he was like evil and awful and crazy, and you can't talk to him, when that's just not That's not true. It's just been evident for the last 25 years that he's been in power that he has been a very measured counterpart when it comes to foreign policy. And suddenly they're like, yeah, you know what? Let's fuck around with it. Let's fuck with that guy. You know what? He seems like a jackass. Let's just fuck with him. Okay. Let's just say we're moving
We'll
some
wind him up.
NATO stuff next door. Let's do that.
By the way, it's still amazing to me. Just the other day, I was feuding on social media with a guy who's like, Ukraine didn't threaten Russia. And I'm like, they wanted to join an anti-Russian military alliance along their hundreds of miles of their border. So that if a couple of drunkards get, yeah, that was right. It was on the TMI X site, right? And I'm like, you get a couple of drunken border guards start firing at each other, which actually happens all over the former Soviet Union and around the world.
It happens with India and China right now in the Himalayas.
Yeah, they're bored to death. They're in a remote place. They
literally start throwing stones.
Yeah,
and suddenly it becomes a huge skirmish.
Yeah, and then suddenly it's like NATO is like called upon to like launch nuclear weapons against Moscow. I mean, and it's like you don't see how this could be. I don't care what Putin's politics are. It doesn't matter if it was still the Soviet Union. It wouldn't matter if he was a left-wing communist. No one in his position, you, me, Clovis, no one would view this as anything other than a threat. I mean, you just couldn't. Not to mention the history of it. I mean, when the Nazi Germany came into Russia, they came through Ukraine. So you have to be concerned about Ukraine when you're the president of Russia. You just have to. I mean, look at what we did with Cuba when, 90 miles away, they had missiles pointed at us. We freaked out. So,
that's
and understandably so. Although what we never talk about is how that was in retaliation for our missiles pointed at them in Eastern Europe.
I don't engage with those NAFO trolls because I think they drank the Kool-Aid and they are not looking at this. They're looking at this as like, if you are pro-Ukraine, then you are pro-America. They're equating the two. It's somehow equivalent. And so by if you're anti-Russia, you are also therefore pro-America. And that's just not the case. And when people are looking at the world in these binary ways, there's no fucking sense in talking to them. So I didn't engage. I wanted to several times because I would have just demolished him. I presume it to him in a way that you didn't do because you're always so nice and polite. But I'll be like, listen, fuckface, like, here, idiot. In case you don't know, here's what happened. But I can't. It gets my blood pressure boiling, and you should not engage with
it doesn't serve any purpose.
No, all right, they believe what they want.
All right. Haiti's government was not amused on Friday after French President Emmanuel Macron was caught on camera calling the island nation's leaders morons for ousting their former prime minister amid escalating gang violence. Macron also blamed Haitians for letting drug trafficking take over, sparking outrage in the former French colony. Comments have led to renewed demands for reparations for payments Haiti made to France back in 1804. The bill was supposed to account for the so-called lost property, including slaves, after the country declared independence. Activists say the payments amounted to over $100 billion when calculated and adjusted for inflation today, and engendered a cycle of perpetual economic and political instability. The activists happen to be, right. Violence has again reached crisis levels. Armed gangs control over 85% of the capital, Port-au-Prince, and have attacked prisons, police stations, and the city's international airport, which was closed for the second time this month after gangs fired at passenger planes. I've flown in. I'm not a wuss. I have flown into airports in Kabul, in Herat, in Mazar-e Sharif. Not a wuss, but I have flown on.
But you won't go here.
This sounds terrifying. This cut off food aid to a population where nearly 6,000 people are starving. That's got to be more than that. And 5.4 million are experiencing crisis levels of hunger. Despite hopes for change, the latest U.S.-backed security mission led by Kenya has failed to stem the violence. At least 108 suspected gang members were killed over a 3-day period last week. and Doctors Without Borders has suspended operations in the country. They're not wusses either. So if they pull out, it's bad. The U.S. pushed for a full UN peacekeeping mission at the Security Council last week, but Russia and China opposed the mission. I can't believe the U.S. would want, after their history of borking everything in Haiti over and over and over, between most recently the Clintons and the Clinton Foundation raping the port of Port-au-Prince, installing not one but two brutal dictatorships under the Duvalier family, like years of basically turning Haiti into a vassal state and impoverishing this place. I can't believe the U.S. would ever say, "Oh, hey, we're the right ones to run Haiti. Let us do it."
Well, the U.S. or the West. So France, as we know, was the original colonizer.
Correct.
At the beginning. And then when they finally jumped ship, the U.S. was basically their armed goon in like the 1940s, I think it was.
That's right.
To say, okay, now that you guys are all free men, we're gonna force you to pay those people in France for your freedom because they needed your slavery. And
yeah, literally, literally, it was like you stole their property, and by their property, we mean you. You stole yourselves,
right? From their back.
Rightful owners, France,
right? So now you owe them. So the U.S. was like their armed goon to go over there and be like, we're going to control all your finances. We're going to make you pay up. And I'm pretty sure the U.S. still has some sort of backroom influence of what's happening there. I mean, we had Dan Cohen on to discuss all of this. It just seems like whenever the U.S. or these foreign Western countries get involved in Haiti, and granted, they're a Western country, sure, they're in the hemisphere, but I get it. But,
industrialized,
they're also,
let's say,
industrialized and English speaking even. They're not even an English speaking country. So whenever the U.S. or like Western industrialized countries get involved in these smaller little countries, it just wreaks havoc. There's never been anything good to come of it. Like I don't know what the answer is to get these people to get to a place of freedom, like not freedom, excuse me, peace. But like, it's bad, Ted. It's bad when right next door is the Dominican Republic. I mean, it's literally on the same piece of island, just
it's on the same
border,
island.
a mountain range.
Yeah.
A mountain range, says this
the island used to be called Hispaniola. Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't understand how one side has fared so much better. The DR.
It's completely political. Even in terms of deforestation, the DR still has lots of trees. Haiti's been completely deforested. It's just like, no, it's, obviously.
So it was more ravaged, you would say, by the French?
It's been I would say it's been really consistent, though. The Americans definitely haven't helped. And it's a major problem. Part of the thing is, my normal solution would be the rest of the world has to stop intervening. They have to stop funneling in weapons and money and trying to pick and choose sides so that the Haitian people sort things out for themselves. Right. Look at Afghanistan. You and I might not like the Taliban government, but now they clearly have the support of over 90% of the people. They've established, compared to like the last 40 years, they've established peace and quiet and calm and law and order. And you can't have anything unless you have those things. It's like if the Afghan people decide they want a more liberal government, if they want women out of burqas or whatever, they're going to have to sort that
to be able to go to school
themselves.
Right. Yeah. That's their business. That's their home. Business. Let them sort it out.
But the problem with Haiti is that it's an island nation, as you pointed out. So the concern there is that it's not easy. So for example, Tajikistan broke into, after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, starting in 1993, a brutal 4-way civil war broke out that by some accounts killed half the population. Basically, it was a genocide of extreme proportions. It got to the point where they were running out of bullets to kill people with. So they started tying them together with ropes and throwing them into rivers together so they would all drown each other. That's sort of something that happened during the Armenian genocide as well. So what happened is one side was backed by Russia, one was backed by China, one, of course, backed by the United Nations, and the US, and the other one backed by the Taliban in Afghanistan. And at a certain point, everybody all the outside proxy rulers of of Tajikistan realized it was a bad investment because this country had no natural resources. So they stopped arming. And then after they pulled out, the Tajiks formed a fragile power sharing agreement. They made peace. They rebuilt. Now they found oil. Everything's fine because people left them the fuck alone. But it's landlocked. It's easier for that to happen in a landlocked country.
True.
In Haiti, boats can come and go and bring in AR-15s or whatever else, and that's a problem. So
right, it's almost borderless. So and that's the problem. And then the refugees, it's difficult to get away, and if they survive the journey, usually to the United States, then they're met with other stuff like cat eating.
That's true. Something Clovis strongly disapproves of.
Oh, all right. That's true.
U.S. farm industry groups want President-elect Trump to spare their sector from his promise of mass deportations, which could upend the food supply chain, which is heavily dependent on immigrants in the U.S., legally. So far, Trump officials have not committed to any exceptions, however, according to interviews with farm and worker groups and incoming border czar Tom Homan. Nearly half of the nation's approximately 2 million farm workers have no legal status whatsoever, according to the Departments of Labor and Agriculture, as well as many dairy and meatpacking workers. Trump has vowed to deport millions of immigrants in the U.S. illegally as part of his campaign to win back the White House, a logistically challenging undertaking, as we've talked about here, that critics say could split apart families and disrupt U.S. business. Homan has said that immigration enforcement will focus on criminals and people with final deportation orders, but that no immigrant in the U.S. illegally will be exempt. He told Fox on November 11th that enforcement against businesses would have to happen, but it's not said whether the agricultural sector would be spared. We've got a lot on our plate, Homan said in a phone interview this month. Mass removal of farm workers would shock the food supply chain and drive consumer prices even higher for groceries, says David Ortega, professor of food economics and policy at Michigan State University.
Yes.
Yes, it would.
It would.
I mean, what do you think? Do you think there should be an exception made for these people?
Yes, we need migrants. We whether, if these are the people that are at the farms or whatever, there needs to be some sort of exception and some sort of visa process to make them not illegal anymore, so they can keep staying there to do those jobs. Because let's face it, Ted, this has been a problem for my entire life. I remember this conversation in the 80s, which is apparently where I got this video, is that the conversation has always been that Americans don't want to do these jobs. It's laborious. It's miserable. It's shitty. Look at the conditions. They're not willing to do it, and they're not willing to do it for cheap. And, that brings up the whole, fight
cheap
for 15.
Is the key word. Cheap is the key
right.
word.
Fight for 15 and all of that. And because they're illegal migrants, they're undocumented, they don't have papers, then they can work for cheap. And there's just no other solution other than having these people that, ultimately send a lot of remittances back home, and some of them do settle here forever, and the others actually do go back. There are a good number of people that come here, make some money, and actually do return. That's a smaller minority of them, but as far as the agriculture sector goes, we need these migrants. Americans don't want to do these jobs. So if you're bitching about the cost of eggs and apples, apples, oh my God, have you seen how expensive our shitty ass apples are? I'm sorry, but they taste like shit, and you and I have discussed this. You're paying for a bag of a 3-pound bag of apples that taste like nothing.
Cardboard.
They're $7 for a 3-pound bag of
$7.
here.
I will get involved in arbitrage. If you can send me apples, a bag of apples for $7 in New York, I'll sell them for 15 tomorrow.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean, no, apples are insanely expensive, especially if you get like organic ones. But yeah, no, I mean, look, I agree with you. There's no other solution. Yeah, already food prices are way too high. If I were the incoming president, my policy would be, we go to these places, we say, good news, green card for everybody, exception. If you are wanted for or committed a serious crime, and I don't mean like a misdemeanor,
like a heinous crime.
Yeah, rape, murder. We're probably going to deport you. But you have to at least go and like go to trial and and deal with that and see what the outcome is. But that's what I would do. I mean, probably 95% of these people have nothing, don't have a situation or a problem like that. So they're just hardworking people. I mean, I want them in the system so that if there's another pandemic, they're not scared to come in and get a vaccine. If they're or
they get a driver's license. They get a driver's license. That was one thing in California, and I voted for that measure. I don't remember how many years ago it was, but I think we were the first state in the union to legalize giving undocumented migrants driver's licenses. And that was in part, I know there are a lot of like Republican or right-leaning viewers out there are going to be like, I can't believe Manila voted for that. But here's why. One, it was in my own interest because I worked in the automotive industry. I wanted them to be legal so they can buy cars. That opens up more of a market for me. Number one. Number two, as a person who lived in Southern...
If you owned a cat eating restaurant, you would favor legalized cat eating?
Maybe. My own vested interest, Ted.
Okay.
So
all right.
Unabashed. I worked in the car business. I wanted to sell more cars. You're going to open up a new market for me because in California, you cannot buy a car and register it unless you have a legal driver's license in California.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted them to have driver's licenses for that reason, number one. Number two, as a person, just a resident of Southern California, I can't tell you how many accidents and little shitty bumps and dings and whatever, because there were so many illegal drivers in California, as you might imagine. I mean, we're a border state, and they were afraid to ever say anything or do anything because
they would flee the scene.
Yeah. So sometimes it was a big accident, sometimes it's little dings and dents, but either way, because they can't get insurance if they don't have a driver's license, and they're not willing to fess up to you that, hey, they dinged your car in the grocery store parking lot. Like, here's my number. Like, they're not willing to do that because a lot of these people are actually really nice, honest people.
Sure.
If you and I know many of them even here in
accidents happen.
Northern Virginia. Accidents happen, but they're afraid that you're going to out them and you're going to get them deported. So it creates a disaster for us citizens.
True.
Who are paying our insurance rates go up, and all of that shit goes up because these people didn't have driver's licenses. So a lot of Californians, and we voted that way. We voted for them to at least get driver's licenses. And Republicans would argue, especially in Kevin McCarthy's district, which was like the Fresno area, which is the farming area, which is probably what we're looking at. They argued against it, I think, because it would move their labor force elsewhere if these people could become mobile all of a sudden.
They would have freedom. Yeah, they'd become ambulatory.
Right. And so they voted against it. But
well, I remember when that law passed, and we have a similar one here in New York. I remember thinking it was outlandish. I was like, if I migrated to Romania, I doubt that I could get a driver's license if I was an illegal citizen, an illegal worker. And I'm sure that's true. But then, like you, to me, it became about the insurance thing. I was a taxi driver. I got hit more times by undocumented workers than I could count. And they always either fled the scene or they just couldn't pay because they didn't have insurance. So it's like, honestly, it's to society's benefit to have these people. They're already here anyway.
They're
here. Unless you're really going to deport them, then like have them documented, know who they are, make sure they're in the system so that when things happen, they can.
So if a crime is committed, you can track them. So if they are, robbing or looting, or if they're stealing things or whatever, like that, you have them in the system in one way or another. It doesn't mean you're changing their status or they're going to be able to vote and they're going to be on jury duty, but you at least have them in the system.
They can do my jury duty. It's fine.
Well, that's true.
And frankly, voting doesn't really do me much good anyway, because I always vote third party and they never win. So who cares? Anyway,
I only voted for the one winner one time. So
I've rarely voted for a winner. I think Obama in 2008 is the only time I ever voted for a winner.
This time was the only time I've ever picked a winner. Just saying.
I lost as usual. All right. Human error led to the death of a young gorilla in Alberta, Canada. That, according to officials at the Calgary Zoo. Iyare, a 2-year-old Western lowland gorilla, it's very important to identify your type of gorilla, died last week after being struck in the head by a hydraulic door. A staff member accidentally activated, the zoo said in a statement. The worker was trying to separate Iyare from other members of the gorilla troop for a solo training session. The gorilla died of traumatic head injuries, according to the statement. The staff member involved was immediately removed from the workplace and will be reassigned to another area of the zoo, Barrett said.
Look at Iyare.
Maybe the other area of the zoo will be cleaning gorilla poo. The zoo said it will implement preventive measures, including specialized staff training, like don't push the door button when there's something underneath it, and animal behavioral training so as to avoid another incident like this in the future. It's not the first time an animal has died of something other than natural causes at the zoo. In 2016, although I know someone who her cat tried to get out the door of her apartment and she didn't realize it, and she slammed the door and it killed the cat. Big, heavy metal door. And I've also heard of cats racing to try to make it under the closing garage door and getting smushified. So it can happen. In 2016, also at the zoo, an otter drowned after becoming entangled in an unauthorized pair of pants a zookeeper dropped in its enclosure. Okay. A penguin.
What is that? What is that?
Who drops trow in the otter enclosure?
What is an unauthorized pair of pants?
What's an authorized pair of pants? Do they have to be a certain type of dungarees?
But why are their pants being dropped into the otter enclosure?
Good question. A penguin died in a freak accident when she swallowed a stick in 2013. That's kind of a Darwinian thing. It's like, not all penguins are that smart. And so this one, to improve the gene pool. And in 2009, my favorite animal, I'm not even kidding, a capybara was also accidentally crushed by a hydraulic door. Now, capybaras, they're not that fast. So I kind of wonder how that happened. Oh my God.
Look at the gorilla.
The capybara is so cool. The world's largest rodent, can be hundreds of pounds. It's people have them as pets in Texas, Not like
I've never
everybody,
seen one in
but
person.
some people do. Animal Justice, a Canadian nonprofit that advocates for the humane treatment of animals, called for an independent investigation into animal safety and oversight at the Alberta facility. The Calgary Zoo appears to have a higher rate of animal deaths compared to other zoos, and in light of Iyare's death, there should be a systemic review of the zoo's operations and practices, conducted transparently by the government or another outside party, said Camille Labchuk, the nonprofit's executive director. The Calgary Zoo rebutted the assertion that they have a higher rate of deaths compared to other zoos, saying that they adhere to operational standards and have upheld accreditation by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums Independent Accreditation Commission since 1978. Well, if they have the imprimatur of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums Independent Accreditation Commission, whoa, well, we got to just back off, man.
Well, I feel like there's a simple solution, Ted.
No zoos
to these doors.
Oh,
because look at this little baby
manual
gorilla.
Doors?
That's awful. No.
Oh, or
you just put a sensor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Put a sensor on there.
Yeah, like when I had a house,
like elevators, right?
My garage door had to be replaced, and when the company came out to do it, they informed me that there was a new law in New York that had been passed subsequent to the last installation, and it has to have a sensor at the bottom of the door so that if like a kid or an animal or whatever walks through, it stops. And I got to tell you, that's a really good idea. Sensor is the way.
That's all you need is just install a sensor door on these, like come on.
That would work.
Look at the baby gorilla.
No, it's very sad.
Poor ARA.
It is sad.
Like, that's so sad. Like, have you ever you've seen gorillas like up close at the zoo, right, Ted?
Yeah, of course.
They like, have you ever locked eyes with one?
Yeah, it's kind of eerie. It's
It's
spooky.
yeah. It's
well, because
it's
they're
like
99%
they're almost
the
us.
same as we are. Yeah.
Yes, I've like locked eyes with like one sad silverback
Bonobos
gorilla.
theoretically can reproduce with human beings. I mean,
Oh my god.
chimpanzees are 99.4% DNA is exactly the same. So as us.
God.
I mean, so they're not that different. I mean, of course, that 0.6% goes a long way, but still.
Well, I mean, yes. But I mean, they're sentient, and they know they exist, and they know that they
can
exist
learn
in
language.
This world. And,
I mean, yeah.
Right. So I've locked eyes. Like, I've had as a kid, there was a big silverback gorilla we had at the LA Zoo, and he was up close against the glass.
I don't think they should be. Honestly, I don't think they should be trapped in a small enclosure like that. I mean,
no, it was a big enclosure.
They're too sentient. I mean, or any
it was an
enclosure.
area. It was an area.
Gorillas are too sophisticated. This isn't
it's
not a fucking snake or something.
Small for him. So he's just sitting there, and here's like little child Manila going over there, and I'm pressing my face up against the glass, and he turns around, and I don't know if I was trying to get a rise out of him or what, but he looked, and he looked at me with the saddest eyes, like, break me the fuck out of here.
Take me away from all this.
And we just locked eyes, and it was like, that's what he communicated to me as a kid. And ever since then, I have like just had this soft spot for all of these gorillas. And when you look at them, they're just like, they shouldn't be in these. This is,
yeah, I kind of don't think. I kind of think. Well, certainly mammals should not be trapped like that. But I think a lot of animals probably. I wouldn't be surprised if humanity is still around in 100 years, the zoos will be gone. It'll just be considered like an archaic relic of the past. I mean, the only justification for them is the whole, we're educating people about like these animals they would never ever see. I'm like, well, at that rate, you could have said the same thing about slaves. Like, we're educating white people about these black Africans that they'd never meet otherwise. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Oh my God.
I mean,
yeah.
It's
very sad to me. All right. I guess was that the last headline? That's the last headline. Okay. Let's hit the jaws. I'm going to So before I'm going to let you close up the show with why you hate Thanksgiving and my rebuttal, but real quick, I want to present everybody with I don't know if we're going to call this a murder mystery, Ted, or people love this stuff, right? Like on podcasts and whatever, but there's like this real weird missing woman story coming out of LAX, and I'm since I don't have much of a voice to talk about it, I'm going to put this up on the screen and let Channel 7 News back home that I used to watch, ABC back home.
Oh, is that the one with Trisha Toyota?
I think
that was Trisha Toyota? There was an amazing song by the Dickies called "I'm Stuck in a Pagoda" with Trisha Toyota.
I don't remember. Maybe. But so look, this is
my local news station was "It's Al Shuttlecotty News." I was like, that has absolutely the best name in local news, Al Shuttlecotty.
Channel 7
News.
News
Some serious
back home.
German shit. Yeah.
Our weather guy was Dallas Raines.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, Dallas Raines.
I wonder if it was a real name.
I don't know, but he was super like.
Was he Native American?
Tanned? No, his name was Dallas Raines, and he was the weatherman. He had big white teeth and tanned hair and like slick back Gavin Newsom hair.
Awesome.
Like that. Okay, look, here's this weird story, and then I'll tell you the update after this, which just happened.
The rest of the story.
Yeah, this is weird. So I want to know what everybody else thinks. Oh no, it's loading an ad.
Oh man,
don't load an ad.
That's annoying.
It was playing for me just a moment ago.
Of
So do you
course it
want me to?
was.
As of this
Oh,
morning,
there it
still
goes.
no sign of a woman who went missing after landing for a layover at LAX. As many of you begin Thanksgiving travel this week, Eyewitness News reporter Tim Caputo has the message from the woman's family.
What was supposed to be a short layover at LAX for Hana Kobayashi has turned into a week-long nightmare for her family and friends. Last Friday, Kobayashi left her home in Maui, headed to New York City for a fun fall getaway. But after landing at LAX, the 29-year-old never got on her connecting flight. A surprising misstep considering how much Kobayashi travels.
She's been to Europe, Japan, so it's not like, but it's just never happened like where she's not in touch with anybody.
Ryan Kobayashi, Hana's father, flew in from Hawaii to help look for her. Of course, they tried her phone first, but her father says Hana started sending odd text messages to family members, mentioning a spiritual awakening, apologizing for the craziness, and then the most bizarre text, simply writing, "was definitely intercepted." If that wasn't troubling enough, Hana texted another friend that someone may be trying to steal her money and her identity.
This is so unlike Hannah. She's very responsible. She was looking forward to this event like so much. I mean, she had a hotel room booked. That was a couple of $1,000s. The tickets for the event was a couple of $100s.
But then a possible clue to Hannah's whereabouts in a seemingly random photo posted to her Instagram account last weekend. Social media sleuths scoured the web and concluded the picture was taken at the Grove on LA's west side. Then in a separate unrelated YouTube video about an event at the Grove last weekend, a woman briefly walks into frame. The family says that's Hannah. But the video and the post do little to explain why she never continued on to New York or whether she's in danger, only adding more unsettling, unanswered questions for her loved ones. Family members say they filed a missing persons report with both LAPD as well as the LAX Police Department, but they're also taking matters into their own hands. They're here in Los Angeles looking for answers and searching for Hannah.
We're just hoping that she's safe.
Wow.
Okay. So
That is
that.
absolutely fascinating.
Okay, isn't that bizarre? So she's not like a novice traveler.
And she doesn't have, obviously she doesn't suffer from mental illness.
No, but then her text messages to her family said weird stuff using vernacular she doesn't normally use. And here's the weirdest part that happened this weekend, Ted. We saw her dad giving that interview to Eyewitness News. Her dad turned up dead this weekend.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Stop.
What the fuck?
Wait, he turned up dead. Wait, how?
At LAX, at the parking garage.
What? What's the cause of death?
So they don't know yet. So I'll read it to you. It says, after he flew out himself to help with the search, Ryan Kobayashi, 58, was found dead at the bottom of a car park at LAX airport at approximately 4 a.m. on Sunday, according to NBC Los Angeles. Though a coroner confirmed the father's death, the official cause has not yet been confirmed. He had been searching for his daughter for almost 2 weeks and was reportedly seen on Friday handing out flyers to Los Angeles residents asking for any information on his daughter. Following his death, the Kobayashi family released a statement saying the Kobayashi family endured a devastating tragedy today. After tirelessly searching throughout Los Angeles for 13 days, Hannah's father, Ryan Kobayashi, tragically took his own life. This loss has compounded the family's suffering immeasurably. But how do they know that?
Well, presumably they talk to the LAPD, right? I mean, so the LAPD, the cops will talk to the family, and they don't need an official cause of death, which you can only get from the coroner's office. The police will say, well, here's what we think happened, right?
But this is just so
parking garage,
weird.
I'm assuming maybe carbon monoxide poisoning, right? Like in your own car or whatever.
No, you can't. You could, the parking garage. I mean, you've been to LAX, Ted. There's the parking. You can't die of carbon monoxide poisoning in your car.
Sure,
there,
you can. If you run a tube,
if you run a tube
from
yeah, you'd have to pipe it back in.
Yeah,
but they found him on the bottom floor. But that doesn't make sense. If he's out there searching for his daughter, and there's she's appearing on people are looking through their videos of Los Angeles, and she's like a passerby, then her dad should have hope that she's alive. Why would he kill himself?
I mean, obviously, fuck if I know. I mean, look, obviously I'm kind of like first starting. I'm going linearly. what happened to her. Well, I mean, obviously what happened to her is one of two things, right? I mean,
Like,
either,
where's Hannah?
Yeah, where's Hannah? So where's Hannah? Well, first of all, she's obviously in LA metro area, right? Or she was. So either she was kidnapped or otherwise like inspired to go somewhere else, or I'd be curious about her romantic life. I wonder if like maybe she was meeting a guy or something like that, and she decided like
Oh.
she ran off and like
Oh,
had
one
like
more
a
thing.
fling, because that's happened with these disappeared
One more weird
persons.
tidbit.
Yeah.
So the flight that was booked from Maui to LAX
Mm.
to layover and then fly to New York City,
Yeah.
the flights were purchased by her ex-boyfriend, who was also on the flight. But they sat, because they broke up. They were supposed to go on this trip together, but they broke up. So they apparently changed seats or something. And he was on the flight, but he made the connection. She didn't.
What?
And he's in New York City. He's
Well,
in New York right now.
So obviously he's a person of interest. I'm sure. I mean, I'd be
And now
surprised if
Dad
the
is
police
dead?
I'd be shocked if the police weren't reaching out to her. No, this is absolutely amazing. I have no idea what happened to her. But obviously I would say you can't ignore the boyfriend factor. I mean, maybe he did something bad to her. Maybe the father got a sense that his daughter's not okay and decided to kill himself because he was so sad about it and couldn't handle it. Maybe they got mixed into something that we can't even imagine here, mixed up in something involving crime or organized crime or something. The boyfriend was responsible somehow. I mean,
no idea.
there's a lot of possible narratives here.
I'm just like,
What's your
I'm
guess
just putting this out there. I have none.
If you had to put $10,000 down on a
God.
betting table, is she alive or dead?
No. Alive.
Okay, well, I hope so. And
I think she's alive. And that Dad if he took his own life, which I don't even think he did. I think there's foul play there.
Well, and then where the fuck is she? And like,
and I think there could be, I mean, I don't know. People snap and in California, do you know how many, the missing white woman stories there are in California
Mm-hmm.
that they stage their own abductions and they run away and
Mm-hmm.
whatever, and then 6 months later they turn back up.
Yeah,
right?
Sometimes after having like a wild fling, they just they just kind of wanted some me time.
Right, and it peters out, and then they reappear, and their husband and their kids are there. But this is, I don't know. This is something really weird. So I thought it's something worth, water cooler talk.
Totally fascinating.
This is super
we'll
weird
continue
story.
to follow this story and see what happens.
So now I just wanted to share that with you because it was just fucking weird, and I don't have any idea. Like, it's just one of these. This is gonna be, Ted. Eventually, it's gonna be one of those Netflix things.
Oh, 100%, no question about it. Yeah,
like pretty mixed race Asian girl from Maui disappears. Ex-boyfriend on the plane, and it just dad killed.
It's like what's her name? It's like Gone Girl, right? It's like that.
Yes, she's suddenly like lost in the abyss of Los Angeles. Like, weird. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's do.
Well, with all the cameras everywhere. I mean, like, do you remember how they caught the Boston Marathon bombers? The two brothers. They basically fed in facial recognition software into all the cameras in Metro Boston, and they just sat. The Boston PD sat and the FBI sat in this big control room, and basically every time, like, one of the millions of cameras in Metro Boston, like at an ATM, at a traffic intersection, picked them up. It's like boom. They could literally follow them, like moving across Boston, and that's how they triangulated their position. I mean, obviously, I'm assuming her phone's no longer functioning, but if her face pops up anywhere, it's gonna know. There's cameras all over LA. I mean, obviously, this is not rural Idaho, And
then there's always people doing selfies and taking videos, and if people notice something's going to pop up, and it's just very weird. And I feel like this is one of these Netflix movies waiting to happen, and
No
it's
question.
tragic. It's already tragic. Dad, only 58. Bye-bye.
Well,
don't you think she would have appeared by now, unless there's something,
especially if she heard about her dad.
Well, I mean, it just happened. So
Right.
maybe, like, literally
God.
just happened
Can
yesterday.
you imagine she just hears about this like today? Like, holy shit.
Ugh,
she's on
God,
a
and she's
bender
like,
hanging out with Hunter Biden.
Yeah. Oh, God. Ew. Yeah, because he does have a home out there. Gross.
He does.
All right. Let's switch to your thing, and we'll call it a day.
We will call it a day, and then I'm going to go get a cast put on without any insurance coverage. Yay, America! Best
Thanks, Obamacare
system in the world. All right, so so Thanksgiving. A little background. I was an only child raised by a single mom, and so we were a family of two, and we lived in, I would say poverty would be a fair thing to say. I mean, 3 meals a day was not always guaranteed where I grew up, and sometimes my mom would be like, okay, well, Ted, you'll eat, but I might not eat this meal because we don't have enough food. And my parents were divorced. My mom did receive child support, but this was back in the 70s when child support that men paid for women was like a joke. It was like nothing. It was like $15 a week. Now, of course, it's gone completely the opposite, and men are going bankrupt paying child support and alimony to their. So it's gone. It's the American system always going from one extreme to another. But this is one of those extremes. I remember never really caring much for Thanksgiving because first there was a jealousy factor. I'd see all the cars line up at the normal families across the street in Kettering, Ohio, like with 15 cars and everybody's happy. But when I finally was no longer in that situation, I kind of realized that Thanksgiving kind of objectively sucks. First of all, it's in late November, when in most of the country, including where I've always lived, the Northeast, the weather sucks always. I mean, it's like cold and rainy. It's kind of like you have 2 days off, Thursday and Friday. What for? You're not gonna fucking use them. You're just gonna be sitting at home. You have to go and hang out with your family, most of whom, and there's not even gifts or anything. You don't really like, most people don't really like their remote relatives. Otherwise, they would hang out with them all throughout the year. And so it's kind of like this miserable experience for everybody. You're traveling these vast distances to sit in someone's suburban house. You're not going like to the beach or anywhere fun. You're just sitting there in some boring ass fucking house eating terrible food. And that's the worst part. The fucking food sucks. And people are always like, oh, the food's so great. Like, I love cranberry sauce. Well, the polls show that that's a lie. Various polls have been taken over the years about Thanksgiving food. Cranberry sauce is always first place as the most disliked Thanksgiving food. And for anybody who doesn't believe me, consider this. Nobody eats cranberry sauce 364 days a year or 365 during leap year. Nobody eats cranberry sauce, right? Why? Because it's gross and it sucks. And then there's all these other foods that people barely ever eat, like sweet potatoes or yams. They're like, again, those are like number 2 most despised Thanksgiving food. Then there's something called green bean casserole. Disgusting. And casserole, as a rule, is disgusting. All casseroles will be banned under a Rall administration, as will cranberry sauce. And it'll be part of, my public health, make America happy again kind of protocol. And turkey. People are like, oh, I love turkey. It's like, no, you don't. I mean, some people, I will give it to them. Some people do like turkey the rest of the year. People do eat turkey sandwiches, but not very many. It's like turkey sandwiches aren't up there with hamburgers or pizza. I mean, it's not a big popular choice. I mean, it's like number 17. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's gross. So to me, the only time I can ever handle Thanksgiving is like if there's alt food, like ham. I like me some ham. Ham's good. If it's someone who's like, oh, let's go to a chops place and get steak. All right, I can handle that too. The only traditional food that I really like is either apple pie or pumpkin pie for Thanksgiving. It's pie. Pie is good. Pie is sweet. Gotta like pie. But you're sitting there like eating all this stuff. It tastes awful. The worst Thanksgiving I ever had in my life. My ex-wife dragged me to a restaurant, a high-end restaurant that served Native American food. It was at Lincoln Center. And, it was literally
Okay.
like Native. After I ate there, I was like, are we sure the white people killed them and it wasn't just their food? I mean,
Like,
it was so
what?
bad, so awful. The place lasted 2 months and closed down. It was just sort of like so bland. It was so Thanksgiving is also politically a horrible thing. It's like, oh, the whole legend of Thanksgiving is the Pilgrims were starving, and so
Breaking bread.
you have these insane, uptight British refugees, religious fanatics, right wingers, who are so uptight, stick up the ass, religious fanatics that they couldn't get along with the British. Okay, and so they came over here to basically steal all the locals' stuff and rape their women and stuff. And then it's like, naively and foolishly, the natives in this particular region of eastern Massachusetts took them in and fed them. They should have killed them immediately upon arrival, and they wouldn't have lost their entire North American continent. But anyway, it's sort of like the seal for New York City, if you ever look at it, is that the Manhattan Indians shaking hands with, it's a Manhattan Indian shaking hands with like a pilgrim. And it's like, it's that $22 bead deal, right? It's the biggest, it's so appropriate because it's the first real estate deal in New York City. And like all the rest of them, it's a fucking ripoff, right? So here you have, we're commemorating basically.
I'm enjoying this, by the way.
These scam artists, these assholes who came over here and we're saying like, oh, that's so, isn't that nice of the Native Americans? I guess it's nice. It was nice. Where are they now? Oh, right. They're all dead because the ingrates, maybe it was the food. Maybe they thought the food was so bad. The turkey sucked so bad. They're like, we're going to kill our Native American hosts. Maybe that was what it was. If so, that's maybe somewhat understandable. But like, it was
gave them smallpox for Thanksgiving.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's that too. And so, I mean, the whole thing, and then there's the whole idea, like, we all have to be grateful for Thanksgiving. Like, no, if you have cancer and you're sleeping on the street, you don't owe anyone any. Oh, I'm so happy I have this grate and not another Subway grate to sleep on. This one's the best Subway grate on my street.
Oh my God.
No, it's like there's a lot of people who have no reason to be thankful. The pressure to feel thankful is stupid. And then, so there was something else I was planning to rant about here, but basically that's it. The Thanksgiving, it's a dumb idea at a bad time of the year, celebrated in a shitty way, and it's annoying as shit, and it should just be canceled. And let's take those 2 days and put them at another time of the year when people might actually want to travel, and establish some better traditions that celebrate something that we should celebrate instead of the genocide of the Native Americans. It's really, I mean, we canceled Columbus Day. Why are we not canceling Thanksgiving?
Okay.
Not to mention it's a Christian holiday, and that's also in a secular country we shouldn't have Christian holidays. All right, I'm done.
Is Thanksgiving a Christian holiday though?
Well, not really. I mean, but it's got the trappings of Christianity all over it.
Yeah, trappings, schmappings. Okay, so I'm gonna call you a gloomy Gus, and I'm not even a big like holiday person or any like nothing. Like actually, Halloween is probably my favorite holiday. But now that I'm a mom, like maybe Christmas because you see the kiddo and they light up and whatever, but with presents. But so Thanksgiving for me, as the first American born in my family, right? And I still remember, like, I mean, we were poor too. We weren't dirt poor, but we were poor. But I remember we would scrape together everything we could, and this is the early 1980s, and we had like 10 of us in a 1,600 square foot ranch style home.
Cozy.
In Los Angeles, right? Like there's, it's like my mom, my parents, my mom's younger siblings, my grandparents, they're all, and here's little me. So I had a big family, and I always remember, it's the 1980s and the Thanksgiving Day parade. And so for me, it was like it was even though I was the only child at the time, my stupid brother didn't come along until I was like 7. So I had all the glory for 7 years. So I remember that it was like my whole family getting up early, and they were trying really hard to assimilate to American culture, and that this, like, history be damned. You think my family gave a shit? My poor Lao immigrant family gave a shit what the history was 300 years ago? It didn't matter. They just knew that this was an American thing, and to be American, you do this, right?
That's true.
You make this food, you make the turkey, and they didn't know how to, baking is not a thing in Laos. So the apple pie was not apple
Baking
pie
is,
and pumpkin pie.
everyone's baked just from being outside.
It's California, man. Like, we don't bake. So okay, so they would buy those at the store because they didn't know how to bake, but they would try to make turkey, and then of course they would make other foods like Chinese and Lao food, right? So in my childhood, like, Thanksgiving was never plain old Americana Thanksgiving like what we're looking at here. There were the hallmarks of typical Thanksgiving: turkey, mashed potatoes, which were really easy for them to learn to make, pre-internet days, right? They had to, we're talking about poor immigrants trying to be Americanized and be part of society. So for me, when I look at it, this was like our big thing where everyone pitched in and everyone gathered together that day. Relatives from, other immigrant families would come, and it was just like a big thing at my house, because I have a family of chefs. My mom was a chef. Like, I mean, she's retired now, but like, I have a family of cooks, right? So they knew how to jazz things up. So after they tried American turkey once or twice, they were like, this fucking sucks. Like, this is bland. Like, gross.
Yay! Yeah, they're not stupid. I've eaten Laotian food. Laotian food's good.
They jazzed it up. They're like, you know what? We're not doing this plain American turkey shit. We're gonna, like, my late aunt, who just passed away a couple of years ago, she came up with her own recipe of like this butter orange soy sauce glazed turkey. And it was so delicious. I took that recipe with me when I lived in Dubai, and I brought Thanksgiving with me. And this is circa 2008, right? Where Dubai was still, the Burj Al Arab was yet to be completed, or Burj Khalifa, whatever it's called now. It was still being built, and Americans were this novelty. And I remember, my friends, like, I exposed my friends to American Thanksgiving. And because I worked in media, it was pretty easy to, talk about it back then in the magazines, on the radio, and suddenly it became a thing. It's it's a thing there now in Dubai, American Thanksgiving. And I like to think it was me and a couple of my little American expat friends that brought it with us. And for us, it was just an excuse as expats, for us to celebrate together, even though we couldn't be home with our families, where we missed our families, but we're a group of expats together, and we're going to be grateful for what we have. And yeah, it's not perfect, but this is great. And here's our potluck, and let's do this together. And it was never, this, back growing up, as well as like in my adulthood, I've never had just plain old white Americana Thanksgiving. I've always, I grew up
butterball turkey.
Yeah, no. I grew up in a Mexican community in the East LA area. So there's like tacos where I'm at. There's churros where I'm at.
Great.
There's real food. So, but I also love yams and sweet potatoes and stuff like that. That food is also indigenous to Lao culture.
Right.
So, tofurkey. Oh no, I got invited to vegan Thanksgiving one time. Oh my God, no. Talk about
vegan food sucks.
I ate that.
I was vegan for 2 years. I lost weight.
Oh no, Ted. Look at that. That's tofurkey. That's a crime.
Oh, go to McDonald's.
That is a crime. Fuck that. It's a crime. But for me, Thanksgiving meant,
I love vegan food, right? Like, how I'm being sarcastic here. How like vegan food is literally so fucking bad that it has to pretend to be good food. It's never
Oh,
like,
no.
all right, this is vegan. It's like, no, look, it's vegan burgers. It's vegan hot dogs. It's like, because vegan food is actually bad.
It's just bad. Well, look. So for me, and I think at least all of my friends and family back home in SoCal, everyone that I know in SoCal, there's not one person in SoCal that I know, and we're talking hundreds of people. Like, I don't know any one person back home that dislikes Thanksgiving. But I suppose it's because we didn't do it the traditional, like, Midwestern way.
Come on, that's cheating, Manila. It's sort of like, it's like, oh, well, I'm okay with Thanksgiving because we had pizza and burgers. It's like, well, of course you'd be okay with Thanksgiving.
No, we always had turkey. Everyone always
Right.
had like the traditional stuff, but we added to it with our own, like, local culture. And in my case, it was influenced by Mexican culture and my family culture of Lao culture. So we had like this grand, like, we didn't eat like this regularly, but that one time per year we did. And it was like this smorgasbord of just food everywhere, and everybody's just fat and bellies full, and everybody's like passing out all around the house, and kids are playing together. So for me, that's like what Thanksgiving looks like in my memory. So I have a very different like idea or memory of what Thanksgiving looks like than you have, because I had a big family.
Right.
We're poor also, but we had a big family. My mom was one of 7 kids.
Yeah, it kind of sucks when there's only 2 of you. I mean, and I don't want to be unfair. Later on in life, I've been invited to Thanksgiving with other people, and it helps.
And did you like them?
Yes, I liked them.
A big like Thanksgiving party?
But the food sucked. The food always sucked.
Was it white people food?
It was white people food. Although, my ex was Asian. I assume she still is. And so she, and that food sucked too. It was all the same. It was like they were doing it white style.
Oh, they were trying to mimic.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, they're just doing the traditional American thing. I can understand why, because it's an American holiday. You're like, it's not like Christmas, which doesn't really have a prescribed diet. I mean, there are traditional foods served at Christmas time in the United States, but I wouldn't go so far as to say there isn't Christmas food in the same way that there's Thanksgiving food.
Right. Thanksgiving is a holiday revolving around food.
There's specific foods you're supposed to eat at Thanksgiving, and that's specific.
And I actually like green bean casserole, Ted, because to me that was an exotic food.
Oh, it's an exotic food, all right. So is close as cat poos wrapped in a toast.
Like, it's not like, to me, eating white American food was like, ooh, like, wow, macaroni and cheese.
Well, mac and cheese is great. If you had mac and cheese,
because I was eating like pho.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing that I used to hate about this, and I hope this is not the case, it's like I would sort of pass the plate, be like, I'm not really into this, and people like, Ted, take it, eat more, grab it, take it, and I was just like, fuck off, like food bullies. I mean, I hope people don't still do that.
Oh, we didn't know. See, I never had that kind of like formal, Thanksgiving. Like we always did our Thanksgiving sort of like buffet style, where everybody just kind of goes and serves themselves.
No one bothers you that way.
Yeah, then you just kind of pick what you want and slap on whatever. So for me, Thanksgiving was always like just a great federal holiday off to have everybody get together, adults and children. Everybody's fat and jolly and passed out because of the tryptophan in the turkey. And then you can always like coax your parents into giving you money for the ice cream man when he comes by, because they're like high on turkey.
Ice cream man? There's no ice cream man in late November unless you live in California.
I'm from California.
Okay,
so that's my memory.
Like, you guys are so weird. Like, you have like Christmas trees like all decorated outside your house, and it's 74 degrees out. Like, what?
I used to go to the beach like as an adult on Christmas Day. I used to take my dog to the beach.
Ted Rall rule. You're not allowed to have Christmas trees in front of your house in any climate where it has not snowed in the previous 365 days.
Oh my God. in California, I love that look, if Gavin Newsom didn't ruin this wonderful state, I would still say this is the best state in the union because we got flavor, we got style, we kind of do our own thing. Like, if it hadn't gone so far crazy under Gavin Newsom and the prices of everything have gone through the roof in the last 10 years, and if he hadn't ruined the whole state, I would still stand by right now saying that California is the best damn state in the union because of the way we celebrate our holidays and we're so relaxed about everything. We're like, no, like,
oh yeah, you guys are so relaxed when you're shooting at each other in a road rage incident. That fucker.
Yeah, but that's a little road rage, Ted. Come on.
No one does road rage like Californians.
But you know what? It teaches you not to box people in, right, on the freeway and speed up or move over, asshole.
If you drive like a wuss, you're going to get cut off by someone, and that person's going to be named Ted Rall. Yeah.
That's how it is in California. Outside of that, we're pretty chill, and our culture in California is just very different. It has changed in the past 10 years. I don't know what.
That's a good question, though. Like, what would be the best state in the country? Like, let's just say to live. Like, let's just say you were sentenced by a court. You have to live in the same state for the next 10 years. What would it be? I mean, I have to think long and hard about that. I mean, I can rule out a lot of states. Like, it's not going to be Oklahoma. But
well, I mean, it has to be a punishment.
No.
California is not a punishment.
You can choose your punishment. So you make it easy on yourself. How would you make it? What you choose? What state you're going to live in?
Well, California, like I said, I would defend to the hilt. It has got the best weather. Sure, we're dry. We don't really have any water, and we have brownouts and stuff. Like, sure, but that's now.
Race riots, wildfires, earthquakes.
I'm talking about California of the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s before Gavin Newsom got there.
LA riots, early 90s.
I know, I was there for it. And the city has since healed. So look, we've got the best weather, the best food. We've got mountains, we've got desert, we've got
I think the best food might be here in New York.
I don't know.
Because we've got it all.
LA's pretty awesome. And there are restaurants in California that are Thanksgiving themed, Ted.
God, well, that's not a plus at all.
I don't know, but I do like a turkey sandwich. I don't know. There are a lot of people in California actually like it. So I don't know where you read that survey that all these people hate Thanksgiving food.
They do. Yeah, no. The truth is, when people are in the privacy between them and their priest or their pollster, they tell the truth. And the truth is, Americans do not like these foods. I mean, come on. Like cranberry sauce. Have you ever seen it served any other day of the year?
Not served, but I used it on turkey sandwiches because it tastes good.
Ugh, gross.
Not always, but I mean,
like
sometimes
ever,
I want
maybe
that
is the word we're looking
Thanksgiving.
for.
I want that Thanksgiving flavor in my mouth.
Oh, God, no. I really don't like turkey.
I eat mash and gravy all the time.
Give me a steak sandwich anytime. Steak sandwich with
mash and gravy?
Horseradish and cheese. Mm-hmm.
You don't like mash and gravy?
Meh.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I like a baked potato with like lots of sour cream and chives and butter.
Yeah. See, I eat elements of Thanksgiving food all year round. I have stuffing. Like I make stuffing a couple times a year. So it's terrible.
The gravy is usually bad. And we're like, taste the gravy, Ted. It's so good. And you're like,
Biscuits.
I am being treated really well by the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Love it here.
Biscuits?
So
you don't like
great.
biscuits? Biscuits and gravy?
What?
Biscuits? You don't like biscuits?
Yeah,
like buttermilk biscuits?
Yeah, biscuits can be really good with butter, not with gravy. Fuck gravy.
Really?
Yeah, gravy sucks.
Ted. See, okay. I think
the gravy's always too sweet. If you could get me a savory, like I'm against, and I know as an Asian person you're going to hate this. I'm against all sweet and savory combinations. Like I believe in the strict segregation of the food
Blasphemy.
races. So all salty things should be with salty things.
No.
Sweet is only for dessert. There should be
No,
no
you
sweet.
get the umami and the tangy and the sweet all together.
No, like definitely put. Now give
Oh
me
my God.
all that stuff separate. Like I don't like that sweet, hot and sour, sweet sour soup. Like no, Like I
That's
want it
the white
separate.
person palate, Ted. That is the white Midwesterner palate coming out.
Guilty as charged. Grew up in Dayton, Ohio. What can I say?
So that's what that is. I'm just gonna say. I'm just saying. All right.
Well,
So
we should
that is
probably
our
wrap-
debate.
We should
Yes,
wrap that
we're
up.
we're having this debate today
Agree
instead
to
of
disagree.
tomorrow because we have our guest from Turkey,
Yes.
tomorrow
Yes.
to discuss. Yeah,
Why is
technically,
it called?
it's pronounced
Why is
Turkey,
it called Turkey? Like I know they do, but like how did that sort of
Turkey.
happened with the
Turkey.
umlaut, and it was like what happened? Like.
But it's just Americans. We fuck everything up and we call it Turkey. But they've always pronounced it Turkey. So
Here we go. Okay, so why is it called?
It's not a rebrand.
No, it's not. It's just the tribe, the Turks.
Yeah.
So Turks, of course, for people who are not familiar, basically live not just in Turkey. They live all throughout former Soviet Central Asia, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, all Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, all the way out, not in Tajikistan, but all the way. They're different. Those are Sogdians, who used to be, we would now say, are Iranians. Basically, they're Persians, and that's Tajik is related to Farsi, but all those other languages, those Central Asian dialects, even Uyghur, all the way out to Western China, those are all Turkic people. So that's why it's called Turkey.
Oh boy, I'm trying to repress this cough.
Interesting. This modern spelling of Turkey dates to 1719 at least. The bird was named as such due to the trade of guinea fowl from Turkey to England. So Turkey sold these birds to England, and so so the Brits called it turkey bird, basically. And so that was it.
Oh, so it really is named after them?
Kind of. It is bird related. Kind of. Well, the bird is named after the country. That's what it is.
Oh, well, there you go. I just never bothered to look it up. I always wondered, but I never,
Although they're not the same. Guinea fowl, I mean, turkeys are a New World animal, and they weren't encountered by the West
so it's not the same?
After the Columbian conquest. So they're not the same. No, guinea fowl are different. Guinea fowl are not that.
I don't know, but I know there's turkey vultures.
Oh yeah, you've seen these. The guinea fowls are some rich people. They're spotted. They're beautiful. They're kind of like pheasants, and like in the Hamptons, they run loose, and like rich people have these pheasants, and basically they eat ticks. So if you have any place with like a major tick infestation, you get yourself some guinea hens, and they'll go crazy and eat the shit out of them.
Guinea fowl. I just need to look and see what that is.
They're really cute. They're beautiful, but they're not turkeys. At all.
Hold on. I just got to put this up there in case anybody's wondering.
Yeah, there they are.
This?
That's it. Yeah. That's a guinea fowl. Look at
and they're not a turkey.
Well, obviously
they're not cute. They're ugly.
That's not a turkey, obviously. Well, they're related to buzzards. That's why their heads look like that.
Those are ugly birds, in my opinion.
I think they're cute.
I would wear their feathers on a hat.
Well, that's an option, I'm sure.
I do like the print of their feathers.
The feathers are really cool. Yeah.
Okay, but those are ugly birds. But anyway, okay, so we got to the bottom of that.
All right.
Ted hates Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving. I'm not, I shouldn't say love. I can do one,
you can tolerate a lot of Thanksgiving. Your Thanksgiving.
It's a lot of hubbub.
Tolerant.
It's a lot of hubbub. It's a lot of fuss, especially if you're the host. So, yeah. So outside of that,
traveling at that time of the year really blows too.
Yeah, Asians are very practical, Ted. You know this.
I know this.
We don't. If families tend to live in driving distance of each other anyway, right? So nobody really flies in. So for us, it wasn't really a thing. But I know that white Americans did that. And so that always baffled us. We're like, oh God, so-and-so must not love their mother. They moved 3,000 miles away from their mom.
Yeah, you'll get no argument from me. Don't get me started. And you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, and that is the culture. Like, that is literally how the thinking, for those who don't know, that is literally the thinking. Like, they're like, oh, so-and-so moved so far away from their mom. They must not love them. Oh, I'm trying to hold back this cough. All right.
Oh my God. All right, let's wrap it up before we die.
That's going to do it for us. Thank you guys for having
reset my bone. I'm so scared. I have to admit.
Oh my God, Ted.
I heard that hurts like a bitch. Well, I think those will just get better.
I know, but maybe they you might need a stitch. You guys haven't seen what I saw on the inside.
You can't really stitch the inside of your mouth because it's all wet and shit.
It just looks bad. But anyway, we're having fun today, and tomorrow will be more serious.
Back to the usual misery tomorrow.
Back to, yes, having fun on a Monday. Usually it's Monday misery. Because
there's Monday.
Surprisingly, no, yeah, today is Monday. But Ted, surprisingly, it wasn't like the worst weekend in news. Surprisingly.
No, that's true. It's
like
true.
It was like a relatively quiet news weekend. So that's nice. So I'm happy. I'm happy that panned out. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for us. We will see you back here tomorrow. So make sure you guys hit the subscribe button on YouTube and on Rumble. The follow, if you do that on Rumble, the subscribe button on the bottom of the chat will get you to be a $5 a month monthly subscriber, so we can keep doing this show for you if you guys are enjoying what you're watching, and us keeping you company during the mornings, and find out some new information along the way. So you can support us that way by being a $5 a month subscriber. If you are watching on YouTube, all you have to do is help us grow our community and grow our numbers and get us to the monetization bar. I guess it's like 500 and then 1,000. So help us get there so we can actually, make a living doing this. So please do like, share. If you're not in the position to do that, just share us and help us grow that community, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Putinbot Gaming, for hanging out in the chat and keeping the spammers out of there. Make sure you guys check out that channel as well and support, a little indie gaming channel here on Rumble and YouTube. So please go support that channel. Thank you, guys. We will see you back here tomorrow.
Last day of the week for us here.
Yes, last day of the week, and then we are off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because Ted is traveling.
Yeah, I'm traveling, and I need to get back to fighting speed.
Good goodness, me too. I'm hoping that I'm okay for Thanksgiving. All right, guys, thank you for being here. We will see you mañana. Adios, amigos.
Bye, everyone.